Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. I'm a big fan of exploring some of the underdog builds, especially for PvP, and today I decided to hop back on the Frost Mage, which is still to this day in 9.15 isn't too popular. With 9.15, players got the ability to switch covenants left and right. Since switching has no downsides anymore, players are more free to try different builds and new playstyles. Frost Mages in PvP have tried out the Necrolord Covenant, which always had some form of potential, but wasn't really worth maining compared to Venthyr. And the damage is actually not that bad, but there also was a Frost Mage bug where you could double Frostbolt an enemy together with the Necrolord Burst. It was actually kind of broken. I tried recreating it, but it looks like it's been fixed. Not like the Necrolord Frost Mage needs any kind of bug in order to be actually kind of decent. It's become a popular build for Mythic Pluses and actually translates pretty well into PvP as well. If you want to try Necrolord as a Frost Mage, we'll talk about how to put yourself together towards the end of the video, but first come the clips of me actually trying out this build, showcasing you some of the damage and the burst I was able to get. Right before that though, most of you guys watch these videos are not subscribed, and the more I remind you, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. So if you're watching these videos anyway, you might as well hit subscribe as well as hit the bell, especially if you enjoy seeing different builds on this channel, as well as maybe 9.2 updates in the future. Hope you guys enjoy my burst attempts, and I'll catch you in a bit when we discuss how to put this build together. So why Necrolord? The Mage Necrolord ability is Deathborn, which transforms you into a skeletal mage, allowing your basic filler abilities like Frostbolts to cleave extra targets. This damage is 1-to-1, so you don't have any reduced cleave. This is full-on cleave that will hit everybody equally. Any talents, legendaries, or PvP talents that proc off of Frostbolt, for example, will basically proc 3 times as often since you're hitting 3 targets. And you also gain 15% more damage, so for a 3-minute cooldown, that's a sizable damage buff that can be utilized in PvP. The soulbind you want to run is Merileth, which is the best single target damage output, with Volatile Solvent granting you Master, which is slight damage buff. The conduit you want to run is Gift of the Lich to give you longer duration of Deathborn, together with Ice Bite for raw damage, Ultimate Form for CC immunity plays with Fleshcraft, and Icy Propulsion for that cooldown reduction. The talents I ran are going to be as follows: level 15 row Lonely Winter for the damage, level 25 Shimmer for mobility, level 30 Rune of Power for the damage. We'll be running a changed version of Icy Veins that will actually give you a lot more use out of it, so Rune of Power gets a lot of play in PvP. Frozen Touch for more procs of Brain Freeze, which we'll be using to empower Frostbolt damage. Level 40, you really can pick your own choice. Ring of Frost can be great in arenas, but Frigid Winds is good for the passive slow. Level 45, Freezing Rain seems to be the more popular choice among mages currently, and level 50 Thermal Void for a longer duration of your Icy Veins, which will be transforming. Icy Veins will become Ice Form from the PvP talents, a 1 minute cooldown ability that will turn your body into ice, making you immune to stuns and knockbacks for 25 seconds, increasing your Frostbolt damage jump by 30%. The duration of this ability with Thermal Void is going to last for quite a bit, and the cooldown is going to be way shorter than 1 minute thanks to the Conduit Icy Propulsion that we picked up earlier. Because of the regular uses, Rune of Power is a fantastic pickup as it augments the damage of Frostbolts and other burst abilities even further. As part of this build to augment Frostbolts even further, Deep Shatter is another mandatory pickup, where Frostbolts will deal 25% more damage to frozen targets. To capitalize on that frozen damage portion, you can either freeze enemies with a Frost Nova, or if you get a Brain Freeze proc, which is the easier way of going about it, Frostbolt into that Flurry proc, which will treat your Frostbolt as if the target is frozen, which will allow Deep Shatter to add its extra damage. And because this is a fun burst build, Disciplinary Command seems to be the best legendary for damage. Of course, you can go with Triune Ward, the Triple Shield legendary if you're trying to play arenas, but if you're just looking for some dumb damage in Battlegrounds, Disciplinary Command is really easy to pull off. All you need to do is cast a Frost, Fire, and an Arcane spell within 10 seconds of each other. If you use Fire Blast, this activates the fire portion of this legendary. But when you use Ice Form, you also drop down a Rune of Power, which counts as a Frost and an Arcane spell. So activating this legendary is actually really easy, and something that could definitely be pulled off in BGs, and even some risky plays in arenas. In order to pull this damage off, you will want to Frostbolt enemies until you get yourself a Brain Freeze proc. If you want to store up a couple of Icicles before you go for the most damage in order to add all kinds of damage sources as part of your burst, it's also recommended. Because of Disciplinary Command, don't forget to prime the enemy by hitting them with a Fire Blast. Otherwise, use Deathborn into Ice Form, and that'll activate all the buffs you have with any unused trinkets you'll play for PvP, Frostbolt into a Flurry proc, and you could follow up with double Ice Lances, since Ice Lances will also treat the enemy as if they were frozen. This kind of burst can be done as a mini burst without Deathborn. Since Deathborn is a 3-minute cooldown, there's a huge chance that Ice Form and all the other passives and legendaries will be up more often than Deathborn will. So if, let's say, you're doing arenas, you could have burst without Deathborn just by going into a primer for your Disciplinary Command with a Fire Blast, getting yourself a Flurry proc, then into an Ice Form, into a Frostbolt, Flurry proc. This could be used in arenas to have a mini burst, maybe to scare healers or DPS into trinketing early or pop in a defensive, and then after a short wait, which it really will be short because of so much cooldown reduction, you will be able to go with a full burst with Deathborn and really surprise your target. Playing with classes that synergize with mages, like Shamans and Skyfear Totem, is a no-brainer, or maybe if you play with the Disc Breeze for Dark Pact for even more damage, maybe a Rogue with Trick to Trade, anything to augment your damage further. But either way, this build was super fun to put together. I had a blast playing it, and I want to play it some more. It works really well in Mythic Pluses, and works better than I thought in PvP. Where Frost Mages usually are CC and root bots, you can actually have some bite to your output. It's also fun looking at the Deathborn animation in the model. It looks wicked cool, and I love that it looks kind of like a mini metamorphosis for mages. Thank you guys so much for checking out this build. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this build, give it a thumbs up. And always, Discord link down below. That's probably the best place to reach me. Let me know what builds I should try in the comments, and I'll see all of you in the next one.